December in the year 2020. Thank you so much for joining us for this very special edition of the assignment program. I'm your host. My name is Andrew Mwansa. Now, the role of small businesses in national development worldwide has become a very important topic on the development agenda of most governments globally. Even the developed countries of the North are paying a lot of attention to issues of small businesses. In fact, it has been stated that in many of these developed countries, almost 60% of their economies are made up of small-scale enterprises. In Zambia, the government started pursuing the development of the small business sector in the late 70s, when it was becoming quite clear that the large business sector, which continues to be predominantly in the mining sector, could not absorb all those in need of employment. Tonight, we take a shift in discussing issues of national interest, and we discuss the plight of SMEs. My guest this evening is Mr. Joseph Chanda, President of Global Traders Association of Zambia. Mr. Chanda, good evening, and welcome to this very special edition of the assignment.
Hey, good evening, Mwansa, and good evening to your viewers and the compliments of the season.
Fantastic. Those that are joining the conversation on the Muvi TV Plus, Bouquet, Channel 1, the Top Star Decoder, Channel 104, you'll be able to come through and give us your contributions via the number that is scrolling down your TV screen, that is +26 0978 594682. Yet those that are joining the conversation from across the continent of Africa, use our social media platforms. Our social media handles on Facebook is Ask Muvi TV. Our YouTube channel is Ask Muvi TV. Get to those two particular platforms and give us your comment regarding the topic we're discussing. Tonight we're looking at the plight of SMEs. Let us begin on a note, I think that is very important, which I think we need to understand clearly as a country. What is the importance of buying local products?
Maybe, my brother, before I go to that question, let me first start with
Probably,
the genesis of this association.
Of the association,
yes,
Global
yes,
Traders Association of Zambia.
Yes,
Probably, maybe we can begin from that particular note.
Global Traders Association of Zambia was registered this year on February 5th, under the laws of Zambia. And this was as a result of individual complaints that the government was receiving. So last year there was a meeting that was called to discuss with the traders in Zambia, where the government saw it fit that as traders you should come up with something that can speak for you. And hence the birth of Global Traders Association in Zambia. But after we just registered it, and then there was global crisis, which is coronavirus, and in March we had a lockdown as a country. And beside that, we have been engaging government on various issues that I think we'll be able to discuss in the course of the
discourse of this particular
conversation. Coming to your question that you answered, you've asked me, the importance of buying local products. There are numerous advantages and attached to that. One, it creates job employment. Two, it also grows the economy. And when you create more employment, it means you are also tackling on the levels or reducing the levels of poverty levels in the country. Unlike the way it is, where most of us traders, we depend on imports, which is working to our disadvantages as a country. So it's very vital to buy local products, but do we have enough, investment that will enable us to buy most of the commodities that we need for our trading? That is another question.
Probably we can get the same question.
Yeah, so that's why the formation of this association, we are first trying to engage with the Manufacturers Association of Zambia. I forgot to mention to say the main purpose of this association is to bring together Zambian traders for the purpose of developing the business and preserve it for the future generations.
Have we come to a point, you did make mention of something very profound in your preamble. Have we come to a point as a country where we appreciate the importance of buying local? For example, you've mentioned that, look, buying local products ensures that there's creation of employment through buying of local products. Money stays in the economy when you buy from your fellow Zambian.
Precisely.
Have we come to a point of realization as a country that this is what the move of buying local does to this economy?
It's difficult because, we are coming from a background where we are so dependent on other economies for the product that we can even easily manufacture in Zambia. So it's difficult for us to start appreciating it because, we need to sensitize our people, the importance. Because, there is also that perception where if I'm a Zambian trader, I am perceived to be selling not original products, not good products, maybe sometimes because of the situation where, from the location where I am, So it's very difficult for the general population to appreciate that.
What would you say breeds the same understanding that, what is produced by a Zambian is not original? What do you think?
That is just a perception. Because, it's a perception that is just there, that what a Zambian produce sometimes is not original, unless something that is coming outside the nation, outside this country, which is a perception that we need to start understanding to say, even those nations that are producing the best product, they started somewhere. They started somewhere. And, Bamanza, it's difficult sometimes to appreciate a new product because it's also not easy to produce for the first time a perfect product. So in production, there is always room for improvement. I've seen and I've led to say Toyota failed many times before they came up with nice cars. But look where they are today. They failed many times. Sometimes it should be 5 years ago, where there was a problem with certain Toyotas that they imported exported to USA, and they had to recall them. So there is always room for improvement in the production of every product. So not until we start accepting one and supporting the local manufacturers, that's when we are going to see such improvement.
To a larger extent, do you think the perception is actually a correct position? Because you find that most of the products that have been, produced by our locals are not as of quality, as products that have been produced by those that are coming from outside. To a larger extent, don't you think this is actually the correct position?
That question is a good one. For you to say this quality is of low standard and this low quality we are producing in Zambia is of low standard, it means you have a product to compare to.
Indeed.
Okay? So now, if you understand this so-called good product, you need to understand the genesis. How did they start it? Okay, how did they start it? How long have they been improving on the same product? That is the patience that we need. And of course, we are not saying we should get anything that is not even of standard,
Standard.
But I think every product that are manufactured in Zambia, they go through the Bureau Standard of Zambia, which certify. So that should also give us confidence to say at least this product made in Zambia has been certified. Okay? Good for health, good for everything.
Well, interesting, submissions that you're giving on this particular topic where we're discussing the plight of, SMEs. Another issue that I want to bring to your attention, just remaining on the very path that we've started on, what would you say motivates the preference of an individual to get to buy one product from the other? What will motivate you, for example, to get to ShopRite as opposed to getting to Soweto to go and buy your rep or whatever you want to buy? I do know for a fact that you've conducted a research as the Global Traders Association of Zambia on, the different preferences, that people choose and what probably they look at before they get to choose those particular preferences.
Sometimes that is a very vast question. But suffice to say that, let me make mention to say there was, when I used to work, we had a conference where Mr. Chibambakanyama was telling us to say, you know how people had value to their product? It's because of their services, okay? Before you get the product that you are forward to buy from that shop, is also they look at your services. Do you have enough car park space? How safe is their car when they park? Okay? Because I can tell you, Wamansa, the Coca-Cola, the same Coca-Cola from Zambia breweries, will cost you 5 kwacha in Soweto. Other places, it will cost you as much as 15 kwacha. Same product. It's because they have added the value to that product, because where you're going to park, there will be security. Even before you park, they will show you where to park. When you walk out, they'll assure you to say your car, you find it intact as you have parked it. Okay? That is value addition. So now, coming to your question, certain people will prefer to go and buy same product, not in Soweto, but at Mandayu, where they can find nice parking space. Because when you go to those areas that I've mentioned, you find that even a parking space is a headache. When you park, your vehicle is not safe. So sometimes people will prefer those areas because of their safety, the safety of their products, the safety of their property. That is very important. So they will prefer to go and buy those products from those high-class malls. But again, it's also the income level. The income level, like the example that I've given you. I cannot walk from Kanyama to just go and get a Coca-Cola in high places for 15 kwacha when I can just walk and get it for 5 kwacha. So it's also the safety and also the income level. Because if your income cannot allow, then it's difficult for you to go and get a Coca-Cola for 15 kwacha. And also the perception I mentioned earlier on. There is that perception to say Zambian product are not, Zambian traders, they don't trade in original. But one thing I can tell you is, even those big companies, in some cases we meet, buying the same product from the same manufacturer. But when I display it in my shop, people will say, no, it's not original. But I can assure you, most of the product our members are trading in, we buy from the same manufacturers. Yes. I've given you an example of Coca-Cola. Yes. Where, for instance, Mandayu, they will get from Zambia breweries. Even in my shop in Soweto, I'll get it from Zambia breweries.
Interesting. Let's get to, bring down home to Zambia. What would you say are some of the challenges that the SMEs are facing today?
Yeah, there are numerous the challenges that we are facing as SMEs or traders. And when we were ushered in the office, we faced lots to the Minister of Commerce, Trade and Industry, where we highlighted some of the challenges that we are facing as traders. One is paying rentals in dollars. You know, it's something that I can, as a media institution, I can ask you to take a simple statistics of just the Zambian traders who are occupying shops in the CBD, in Lusaka, few kilometers from here. They are very few. And one of the reasons that they fail is because of rentals. Rentals, especially those who are
paying rentals in dollars. That is one of the big challenges.
Yes, it's the biggest challenge. It's one of the biggest
challenges.
But
maybe just to a layman, allow us to understand this particular issue. Does that entail that most of the land that is in CBD is owned by foreigners? Because what is the rationale of charging land or space in a foreign currency when it is in a when it is in a country like
local tender.
Yeah, when our local currency.
Does
that entail that probably most of the land that is in the CBD is owned by foreigners? What picture does that give us, really?
it's difficult because I haven't had time to take statistic of who owns this building and who owns this building, okay? But from the information that we have received from our members, you find that most of them are paying dollars, okay? And it is one thing that is making us to plan for our businesses, because like you've seen the way our currency has been performing, it has been depreciating. So it's difficult to plan. And this is one of the challenges that we have highlighted with the Minister of Commerce to say, can you look into it? If it's coming up with a law that at least, say, rentals like in the CBDs, these are just shops like 5 by 5 meters. Why should we be charged in dollars, when we have our local currency? And this is also one of the reasons maybe even our kwacha is weakening, because every month, I need to start looking for dollar or kwacha equivalent, which is difficult for us to plan. And like the question that you've asked, are they owned by foreigners? What's more if it is owned by foreigners? Because sometimes they would have also to support their families outside Zambia, meaning most of it is externalized. Most of the money
from your standpoint, what would you think is the rationale for, renting out a place in dollars when it's...
Of course, those are doing business. They want to make a profit, a quick one, And if they know that, okay, the kwacha is not performing too well, they will take advantage of the situation. But I hope and trust that the government will come to our head and put this to a stop. At least we must have a threshold, Vamos. Why should we have even a shop that can cost you 3,000 kwacha, costing you $3? Because tomorrow $3 won't be 3,000 kwacha. And that is our complaint, because we are even failing to plan. You can't plan for rentals because you don't know how much
the dollar will be tomorrow.
Against the dollar. So it's one of the issues that we have raised with the government. And I'm happy that we are engaging at that level, and
give us a picture of an average, rent or price which small traders pay for these spaces. Do you have an average in mind, from the research that you've conducted? Do you have an average amount that they are charged in dollars, from these areas in the CBD?
Most of it is start from $300 going upwards. And the time maybe we were signing those agreements, the dollar was at maybe 10 kwacha, And, people can take advantage of you. There has never been an association to speak on behalf of traders. Hence, the birth of this will help resolve some of these challenges that we've been facing as traders. All we need is to come together and voice out some of these challenges that we are facing as traders.
But of course, you need to understand, Mr. Chanda, that in as much as you are trying to protect the businesses of small traders, those that you are acquiring land from, that are giving you space, are also in the business of giving you space. And probably one of the things that they're looking at is sustaining their businesses. So, for example, if they put their prices in local currency, they'll find that at the end of the day they'll be getting peanuts because your kwacha is dancing almost every day. So probably maybe to ensure that they protect the security of their business, of their investment also, is to put the rentals in a foreign currency. Because all of you are in business, you need to take take into account.
But have you seen the reason that I'm putting across? It's difficult also for us to budget for our next monthly rental, okay? So it's a 50 situation, and investment of like infrastructure is not an investment that you can realize the profit after 1 year. It takes a bit of time compared to what you've put in to bring that structure up. It's not that the same month you should start making profit. It's practically impossible. It's practically impossible. And even the buildings that are coming up, they are following the same trend. But I can tell you to say, most of them that are coming up today, they are purely built using local materials, which is traded in kwacha. So what is the rationale to rush to charge people in dollars?
Is it that our government has not prioritized local traders? Is it that fact that, look, because from how you're speaking, it seems as if though clearly the environment is not conducive, for small traders like yourself to thrive, in this economy because of all those issues that you're bringing out. How best can, for example, government, let's begin from one particular challenge that you've mentioned that the local traders face, which is the issue of high rentals that are being paid in dollars. How do you see that government begins to position itself in addressing that particular issue? I do know for a fact that you did write to the Ministry of Commerce. I don't know if you've gotten a response yet, but in the long run, how should government begin to position itself to ensure that it prioritizes the plight of the local traders?
Every government works on feedback. The time we wrote this letter and the next time we had a meeting with the PS, he even mentioned to say there is another institution, which is just a group of traders in one institution. They wrote not as an association. Okay? So this issue is now that the government are looking into them, because I think there have never been any association that has presented this issue officially to the government. Okay? So for me to say the government maybe hasn't prioritized this or not, that is
from the time you did submit that particular letter, how do you see government's commitment to,
the commitment is there. The commitment is there. The commitment is there, and I can assure the traders that with this official letter that we wrote them, to the letter that we wrote, there is so much commitment by the government officials. Like I said, we had even a meeting with the PS in the Ministry of Commerce and Trade, who assured us to say they are going to look into this, which is a positive sign.
How long has that been?
Our last meeting was 2 months ago.
And nothing till today?
The way government works is they need to investigate some of these issues. Is it true that these issues that we have raised are there or not there?
One of the issues also that has been highlighted as one of the reasons, one of the challenges that small traders or traders face is, the unfair competition from foreign investors. To what extent does this skew the local businesses?
Those are not even investors. Those are just traders, foreign traders. You understand?
But of course, the fact that they're trading, they've invested something in that particular business.
So investment is a vast component. People will even invest for 3 years without realizing anything. But when you talk of trading, if I open a shop today, the first commodity I will sell, I'll make a profit. It's not possible. It's not like investment that the first production you make a profit. Those are long-run projects where maybe you start seeing the profit after even 3-4 years. So, Zambian traders, we depend on imports. Okay? We depend on imports. So if we have a situation where we are getting our products from to come and sell in the country, are coming to do the same thing that we are supposed to do, it's not possible for us to compete. Because the way it works, they are coming with big monies. They are coming with so much money that as an individual, I can't compete. And the way it is in trades, the more you buy, the lesser it will cost you. If I'm going to China, for instance, to go and buy 10 shirts, it will cost me maybe $100. If I'm buying 1,000, they'll give me a lesser price. So if you come with your 1,000 shirts, can I compete with you? Practically impossible. Practically impossible. So we need also to differentiate between traders and investors. That's why I was very happy when the Secretary General of the PF, he released a statement, I think in May, where he mentioned and urged the Minister of Commerce to streamline businesses that can be done by Zambian and non-Zambians. Otherwise, if it continues the way it is...
Precisely, maybe we should come to there as the Global Traders Association of Zambia. What would you say, or what would you recommend that these are the businesses strictly that should be left for the locals, and maybe these other businesses can be taken up by foreigners?
You know, trading, just normal trading in some products should be left for Zambia.
Like which trading?
This is just normal trading, like for instance, boutique, hardware. You can name this simple, basic product that we use. That also will attract genuine investors, okay? Because they will see to say, why should a Zambian trader go outside Africa, outside Zambia, just to go and buy a shirt to come and sell? So if they have taken advantage, because there are some loopholes where they will just walk in and sometimes they come in the name of investors, but they will be trading. They will be trading. And you know, this is where now the problem comes in, because we cannot compete with them. One, where we're getting the product from. If they are coming from the same country, they have a relationship. You know, there are a lot of things that comes into play in business. Language is one of them. If you don't speak their language, it's difficult for you to negotiate. The only thing you do is speak with the calculator. How much this one? They will show you on the calculator. You do your calculation. Is it valuable or not? You leave. Because there's also language barrier, you know. So there are a lot of factors that come to play when it comes to trading.
Yeah, but there's a lot of pieces of legislation that speak to those issues. But you've mentioned the fact that the PF Secretary General, you know, did make that plea also.
Yes.
From how you are viewing things from your lens, are you seeing government, you know, getting to embark on a journey of protecting local traders, you know, against unfair competition from the foreigners?
Yes. And that is one of our duties also, to give the feedback to government. You know, once they give us the guideline or they streamline.
And how should this be done, really? Because I know for a fact that we've got a lot of pieces of legislation that speak to some of these issues that we're speaking about today.
Yes.
But we see less implementation. Some of these pieces of legislation have been there since time immemorial. Since,
you know, if you remember very well, there was a pronouncement to say blocks making.
Should be preserve of the local.
Exactly. So
but now the Lebanese are making blocks and all these other.
So can you blame the government for that? It's the people who are doing the local should go back to the government and give them the feedback.
But I think they've been doing so. They've been doing so.
I don't have that proof.
They've been doing so.
I don't have that proof. So what I'm saying is, if there will be streamlining coming,
where would you think, you know, the arrogance from foreigners is coming from? Because look, in any country there are laws, all right? You cannot do this, you can do this, but we still find, you know, the foreigners that we have in Zambia get to do the opposite of what government expects them to do. Where do you think this arrogance of foreigners is coming from? Could it be the fact that, look, they know that nothing will be done against them, even though they proceed with going against what we've put as a country?
It's to what I said, Bamons, it's always feedback. Who is giving that feedback to say, this what they are doing, they're not supposed to do?
But they know.
So sometimes the owners, you know, we sometimes as Zambians, we like to put government in the corner and then let them watch and implement what is happening to us. We like to exclude ourselves. All right? The moment we start excluding ourselves, then there will be no one to give feedback to the government. There will be no one to give the government. And it will be difficult for them to act. Because on what basis are they going to act on? They need to act on something that you have presented to them. Look at the power of social media nowadays. You find someone that is genuine in help. The following day,
But you agree with me, Mr. Chanda, that in other, in other countries,
yes,
laws are laws. You can't do this, you can't do this. When you go to these developed countries, you find that no foreigner can even own land. But in our country, we see even foreigners getting to sell land. And my question again comes back. Where do you think the arrogance from these foreigners is coming from? Because they know that the laws of Zambia are that I shouldn't engage myself in block making, but we still find Lebanese making blocks, we still find these other group making blocks. And my question is very simple. Where do you think the arrogance, from these foreigners is coming from? When they clearly know, the laws that are stipulated in our country. Could it be that, look, there's lack of enough political will to ensure that this is overseen?
The people gives payment as Zambians.
Exactly.
Okay? So, some of them, they are not even inclined to political parties. They are civil servants. Okay? So now, are they doing their job correctly? That is the question that I must ask them. Okay? And also the government, as the political leaders, are they monitoring them? Okay? And then who is giving the feedback to the government to say this is what is happening? So in the end, the onus is on us Zambians.
You're not the first whistleblower really to have spoken about this issue. Many hundreds have spoken against this issue, but little has been done from the side of government. In fact, others have even come out in the open and said government is even subcontracting some of these guys that are not supposed to do the things that are supposed to do.
I think we'll be running away from...
No, we're speaking in real issues here.
Yes.
This is what is happening, in this country.
Yeah, that is the problem that we have. We like to exclude ourselves from governance issues. Okay? Why should the government make a pronouncement and as citizens, we let it go the way it was before? I was telling the permanent secretary, I will be the first person. If like you indicate to say, Zambians should be doing this as traders, I said we shall come up with a task force to monitor and to see to it that what the government has pronounced should be followed by all. If they say there should be no foreigner to do this, we have to follow that.
Do you think if government really put its foot down that not this, not to this, do you think really we would have been seeing this happening?
Has there been any association that has spotted about this?
I've had engagements with quite a number. I think the last engagement relating that issue was a contract that was given to someone who was doing, I think, a hostel at the University of Zambia lecture theatre. It was given to a foreigner. Can you imagine? A lecture theatre was given to a foreigner. He came here to complain. He came here to submit his displeasure. But these are things that government knows. All right? These are things that probably the president is even aware that these are things which are happening. And according to him, he said, look, there's a lot of corruption that was involved in that particular, issuance of that contract. And Mr. Chanda, I want to bring you back to this very topic. Why do you think we failed as a country, to follow the rules that we've set for ourselves? We've set for ourselves, for example, that you've given that blocks shouldn't be made by block making should be a preserve of the locals, which are Zambians. But we're seeing, yes, but that was a pronouncement by the president, the head of state himself. But we're seeing, when you go to just along Hybrid, you find Lebanese making blocks there, and many other places you find Lebanese making blocks.
Has the feedback been given to the government?
You're giving feedback. Many have been giving feedback. All right, and my question again is, citizens have spoken, but there's less that we've gotten from the side of government, because government is like the last whip, is the decider whether to maintain with the status quo or change everything. But we've seen things remain as they are. Could it be that there's no enough political will for government to just put its foot down that, look, we will not allow this as a country?
You know, I think the contractors have got an association, and if that was the issue, I think the same contractor is supposed to follow the right of general and report it to the association it belongs to.
All right.
So,
yeah.
It's difficult for me to say the government is not doing anything about that.
Well, if you look at into point,
Those
if something is red, just say it's red. If something is blue, just say it's blue. If government is doing something, you say government is
I need
doing
to
it.
speak from the point of view as a trader.
Who is affected?
Yes, with
And you
this
accept
that we
it.
have presented to the government. Because I was telling the other media to say, you know, if you ask me about the contractors and the others, I don't know what happened there. But we have raised these issues as an association, as traders, to the government, crying for help, okay? So we are waiting for the feedback. Of course, we are not just seated behind. We are still engaging them in the background, getting updates on our issue as traders. You know what is dividing us, Vamanza, in most cases is Zambia now need togetherness. We need to be together. This is the only country that we have. Those issues that you are bringing in is lack of togetherness. And when we are divided, other people are taking advantage.
Clearly, you are like spectators in your own
Yes,
country.
yes, yes. And that is because we are not divided as Zambian. We are divided as Zambian because of our political affiliation, because of our religion, because of our tribe. Name them. We are in a situation where even when I'm seeing something that is going on which is totally wrong, I'll say, no, since I'm not the minister, let it go. Where is your allegiance? It's the political party you belong to. But if our allegiance was for this country, look what we have performed very well as a country when we come together. In 1964, the Kaundas, they came together and fought the independence. There was togetherness of purpose. 1991, we introduced democracy. We came together. Another issue is 2012, the national soccer team, for them to win that Africa Cup, it was as a result of togetherness that was in the team. And that's why we are saying, as traders, let's come together for the purpose of developing our business and preserve it for the future generation. Otherwise, the way we are standing, as long as we want to do business as individuals, we have big guys who are coming. They will come as individuals, but where they are coming from, they are being sponsored by many people. Because they are taking advantage of us, who just want to work in isolation. And let me put this point. Do you know that we have even that culture where if I know that Monza is not doing very well, I will rejoice. When my fellow Zambian is going down, I will rejoice. With foreign traders, it's not like that. They will come together and ask, Monza, what is your problem? How do we help you? That is togetherness we are talking about. But as long as we remain this, we start excluding ourselves in this, I can assure you.
So according to you, Mr. President, it has got nothing to do with the legislation that government has put across. It has got everything to do with us, the citizens.
No, legislation is there. I mean,
yes.
you know, Bamanza, if I assault you, what do? Do you go home?
You go to the police.
Yes. If there are certain people who are not following what is put in.
So but again,
in
my question again is that, look, so the ones to blame for the unfair competition that the foreigners give us is us, the people, and not government.
Unless if there is an association that has reported this unfairness officially to the government, then I'll totally say the government has failed us.
let's
As a trader, if they say there is some association that reported to the government to say this is what is happening, which is disadvantaging the traders, then I would say the government failed. But if there has never been any association that presented this, then I would say no. Let's give them time to investigate and act on this.
How does government then begin to reposition itself in terms of creating an enabling environment for the locals, but as well as not disadvantaging, the foreign traders? How would we get to have a win-to-win situation, a 60-40 situation, where Zambians at least are getting the large stake, and the foreigners also are getting just an average stake? How would we get to reach this?
In other nations, if there are foreigners who are coming as traders, they have to be in partnership with the locals. And that is also one of the issues that maybe when they are streamlining, if it's not going to be possible for certain businesses, let's involve shareholding, where we involve the foreign trade and the local traders, so that they can have shares, Because when you have shares, we are saying we are also empowering Zambians. Okay? We are also empowering Zambians at a very high level. Like I said, trading, immediately when you sell your first product, you make profit, not with investment. So if we can also have that issue of having shareholding in certain businesses, that would be a plus for us traders. Because as long as we leave them independent, then it's difficult for us to compete. It's very difficult for us to compete.
But of course, also that is a bit that is a bit too much to ask government to do at this point.
Why?
To have a shareholding kind of a situation, because now already it's like they're the ones that are consuming much of our markets. And if you go back to tell them
But don't you see the danger there?
There's quite danger.
So should we continue to live with that danger?
Unfortunately, I'm the one who's asking you questions. but would you, from where you sit again, Mr. President, do you see things getting to change in terms of how government now should begin to reposition itself in terms of? I do know for a fact that when the president was having his but then you were speaking at it at a macro, level, when you were having the economic recovery program at Mlongoshi. He did make mention of the fact that Zambians who have a large stake in the mining, sector now, and the foreigners who just have an average stake. But do you see the same commitment getting to the local traders? Do you see government getting to commit itself to ensuring that the local traders' plight is put above board,
But precisely, that is a wish. Because as long as the status quo remains like this, 3 years, 4 years to come, we won't have any Zambian trader in the CBD.
I did make mention of the fact that in Western countries, SMEs create a large portion of
Yes.
of employment in those particular specific countries. Give us a picture of the potential that SMEs have in terms of creation of employment. Give us a picture if maybe the environment was conducive, all right? The legislation was followed to the latter. Give us a picture of how Zambia can change.
I can give you an example of how I came to Lusaka. It was after my brother was independent, okay? To see to it that at least he can support another brother. That's why I was called here. Do you know if the environment is even and there is also togetherness of purpose, these SMEs in 2, 3, 4 years to come, they can become manufacturers. And it also drove me to the first question that you asked. Do you know when you have more local manufacturers, what will happen to our economy? It will improve on poverty levels will go down, the unemployment levels will go down, you name it. We can even stabilize our economy. Because you look, when we go to buy goods outside Zambia, for instance, I have a shop. I only employ 2, 3, 4 people in my shop. But where we are getting those products from, they have thousands and hundreds of workers who are producing those shirts we are putting on. Can you imagine if we have such kind of a factory, supported, financed,
and many
by
politicians,
local,
and Mr.
by
President,
local
many
traders.
politicians have sat with him, spoke of the same things you're talking about,
Yeah.
by the way. And I want to know from a trader's perspective, why we've not managed to begin to produce even the simplest things. Why have we so much desired to be an import-dependent trader like yourself? Why have you decided to be getting your shirts from China?
Because I want to go it alone. And you know how long it will take me? It will take me centuries and years for me to go into manufacturing. Because already we have these challenges that we need to sort out. Okay? And then I say, okay, a project, this keep on increasing. It is practically impossible for me to go into manufacturing. But I like what economy, this Dr. Abazoka's
Constitution of Zambia.
yes. You know, there is something that he posted on his Facebook page where he said, if we can have 10 people who are faithful and they come together, start contributing 10,000, 5,000 kwacha per month. Do you know per year how much they are going to have? Okay? So, some of this investment that we are seeing, Mwanza, is not for individuals. Most of the investment that we are, even these shops we have, they are not for individuals. There are many directors. There are many shareholders. And that is what we are lacking as Zambians. We don't want to work together, but we rather go it alone. And as long as the status quo remains, it's very difficult for us to even have to start manufacturing even toothpicks. So not until, as for instance, us who are in trade, let's sit down, let's be sincere to one another. Gentlemen, look at this. What do we do? Are we going to survive for the next coming few years? It's practically impossible. Going it alone, we can't even achieve it right now. Because, you know, Africa has the potential for almost everything. So why should we wait for other people to come and exploit us? We can put our little resources and come up with the bigger things. But once I was very hurt one day when I was going home. I tried to pass through downtown Spa. I didn't get the notice that they were closing. I found the shelves were empty. But you know, in the supermarket, they put those tags, the price and the product which was there. Then I was looking at on those tags. Okay, here there was cooking oil, here there was what? I said, I've got traders who are trading in groceries. If there was togetherness of purpose, we would have simply sit down and get what we have in stock, understand the management of that shop, and say, guys, for the sake of our brothers and sisters who are working for Spa, let's help them. How do we bail them out? It's just a matter of putting our resources, our products together, and open up those shops that were closed.
So it's more of an issue of capital, you know, from where you sit, isn't it?
Yes, of course, even capital, but I mean, capital,
it's capital.
Yeah.
But there's been a perception that, I don't know how you explain this, that it's much more expensive to produce things locally as opposed to importing them. For example, there's an example that was given that, look, the reason why we stopped manufacturing or producing cornflakes as a country, we realized that it was much more expensive producing them locally. And so that's why we decided to disband that and begin to, to import. how are the dynamics in terms of that understanding? Why should it be expensive to produce locally than it is to import? Why is this? Why is the thinking?
Sometimes it's perception. Perception. You know, when I was starting business, I was told never trust a Zambian who's outside. But is it true that I should not trust my own brothers who are outside this country? So those are forces that we should first sit down and fight this with a sober mind. Otherwise, who said that? Is it a Zambian? That is the question. So sometimes we, as a country, we follow so much the perception that we have been told.
But Mr. Chanda, doesn't this explain why we highly, an import-dependent country as opposed to, an export-dependent country? We maybe see things as when we produce them locally, they could be expensive. If I produce toothpicks locally, I think there's a lot of things that I have to do. I have to buy machinery, I have to do this. Don't you think that is a perception that could be correct? Because if I get toothpicks from China, for example, I'll get them at a cheaper price.
Sometimes we need to understand. Because even on the toothpick, some of the products that are made outside this country, the raw material is gotten from Africa. Taken to those countries, they make, and then bring it here cheap. Do you see any sense there? Okay? Why can't we buy? Because we're talking about investment. It's better we spend more money today. Investment is one area where you don't realize the profit there and then. And that is the problem that we have in Africa, is we want everything for ourselves. We don't look to the future.
Is it maybe that we are cursed, President?
No, we are not cursed.
Let me remind you of the process and the project of nationalization when our minds were under government and the private people, our locals. We lamentably failed, and that is the reason why I went into the project of privatization, so that foreigners can manage these things. So they've been managing them very well. Don't you think also it is due to that fact also that we've not gotten into these other issues? Because maybe if we entrust you with to run a huge company, we will fail lamentably, President Chanda.
This is one.
Well, you failed before.
We should, one, professionalism has to be there.
There was professionalism, but we just, Dr. Kaunda, sent people outside to go and learn. But when they came, they failed our minds. They failed all these other government parastatals. These are our professionals.
That's a very good question. Now, the issue is, are we as a country, do we lack any expertise, like in mining? Do we lack those expertise? Because we have very good experts who are working in South Africa, who are working outside this country, and they're learning mines. It's a perception also that we have as individuals, where to come back, it's in bombage. You understand? It's in bombage. Even the same mine, after we privatize them, we had Zambians who are working there as directors. So what has changed?
Maybe it's political
mindset. No, it's also
mindset.
Before we come to politics, even politics also lies on.
But my last question to you is that also one of the issues that is highlighted as one of the challenges of SMEs is the lending rate.
Yes.
All right. To our locals. Speak to that issue as we wrap up the show.
Also, the high lending rate in Zambia also is killing the SMEs. Okay. The discussion that we had with the PS, I mentioned it to him to say, even in CEC, the way it is dispersed, sometimes they need to cast their net widely. I have seen small financial institutions, private ones, which have come, I don't know how many times, to my shop. And sometimes they even allow a situation where you put your households as collateral. You understand? Because some of my traders, all they need is 15,000 kwacha. All they need is just 20,000 kwacha. Now, honestly, do we expect some of the traders who are not even educated to write a good proposal for a 20,000 kwacha? It's practically impossible. So certain things that they have put as a benchmark also should be revised. They should cast their net widely, because there are a lot of people who want these loans. But looking at the private sectors, lending financial institutions, their lending rate is very high. As a result, we are failing to borrow. Even when we borrow, we are defaulting because of these challenges that we are facing.
As an association that is representing traders, are you punching enough to ensure that some of these issues that we are speaking about today are being addressed by government?
Yes, we are punching very much, and we are following them with all the forces that it deserves.
Right, my director tells me I have to wrap up the program, but I'll allow you to give your closing remarks, stressing the importance of, because we've discussed that one of the challenges that you traders, you SMEs are facing is that you lack the act of coming together, right? I want you to speak to that particular issue as you give your concluding remarks on tonight's edition of the assignment.
Okay, my fair appeal is to all traders across the country. The challenge we are facing, some of them in Lusaka, maybe we are not aware of them. But if we are to come together, trade together, then we'll be able to speak with one voice. And together we can do big things. We can do big things. Some of these things, this problem that we are facing is because we have been working in isolation for a very long time, since independence. We want to achieve things on our own. So with the coming up of this association, we're asking all traders in Zambia, please let's join hands together and see to it that at times we come together for the purpose of developing our businesses and preserve it for the next generation.
President Joseph Chanda of Global Traders Association of Zambia, thank you so much for having made time to appear on tonight's edition of the assignment.
It's my pleasure. Hope this won't be my last.
We'll be having more engagements.
There are many more things that time could not accommodate.
We've been speaking the plight of SMEs. My guest this evening has been President of Global Traders Association of Zambia, Mr. Joseph Chanda. My name is Andrew Mwansa. Thank you so much to my producer, Mavuto Piri, my director, Shalom Wape. For now, it's good night, and God bless Zambia.